What's going on, people? Ben here from Bateman Talks Tottenham, back with another video today. Unfortunately, didn't attend the game today, so it won't be a matchday vlog, but I thought I'd do a little match reaction video of the 2-1 defeat to Newcastle. When are Spurs ever going to get a win? Feels like, you just don't know really. The amount of injuries we've got and now the illness that's been throughout the squad. It sounded like yesterday that Archie Gray and Dragishin both weren't going to play. Both ended up starting the game, but Dragishin came off at half-time. He didn't play very well, wondering if he wasn't feeling great still, and apparently Archie Gray played through the illness. And, Archie Gray has done a brilliant job recently. He's played in his wrong position for weeks and weeks now, and you just got to feel sorry for him. His first year in Premier League football, and he's been hung out to dry, really. In terms of the first goal, Spurs, it was a brilliant cross from Pedro Porro, who had a number of amazing crosses throughout the day, to Solanke, who headed home well for a very early lead for Spurs in the game. And then literally only a couple of minutes later, Spurs pass out from Bergwijn and Sarr. Bergwijn then tries to knock it round and it hits Joe Linton's arm, and there's a very, very controversial decision of how it stood for Newcastle. It sounds like it's a bit of an unfortunate one for Spurs in the rules. Maybe it isn't a handball, but when you look at it with common sense, it completely changes the flight of the ball, where the ball's going, and pretty much makes the entire goal. I know there's the argument of was his arm in a natural position, but I think it's the one where common sense says that shouldn't really be a goal, but in the rules it might be that it is a goal, and it's just a really tough one to take for Spurs. In general, I thought the referee was poor throughout a lot of the game. Joe Linton only got booked late on in the game, and the referee was pointing to the different areas of the pitch where he committed other fouls, which I think all of them could have been yellow cards, including elbowing Kulusevski at one point. So I think generally the referee was pretty poor throughout the game. Again, Dan Burney was on the yellow card and then had a handball that stopped an attack. That could have been a second yellow card that completely changes the face of the game. So, yeah, that's happening a lot with us recently. Like I said, doesn't feel like we're ever going to get a win. No luck coming our way. Every game, another couple of players pop down with injuries or an illness of some sort. Liverpool on Wednesday, who knows what's going to happen. I think I've got no hope for that game, if I'm honest. In terms of the rest of the half, the first 25 minutes was quite open. It looked like it could have been a bit of a cricket score both ways. It could have been a very high-scoring game. Then Newcastle got the goal. Cross came in. Dragishin looked like it was going in for an own goal, but it came off Isak's foot in the end to make it 2-1 to Newcastle going into half-time. And in the second half, Sergio Reguilon made an appearance, made 45 minutes. Well, with the amount of added time, there was about 55 minutes in the end. Dragishin came off and Jed Spence was moved to centre-back. So we had a back line of, Brandon Austin making his debut in goal, Spence and Archie Gray at centre-back, and Porro and Reguilon at full-back, which was just ridiculous to see. Spurs have, even if it's on loan for 6 months to the end of the season, we have got to sign a centre-back to play this next couple of games, because it's just an absolute disaster. Who knows who could pick up another injury, and then we could be back to square one with needing another full-back playing at centre-back. Hopefully Dragishin is well enough to play on Wednesday, and it looks like it'll be Gray and Dragishin again on Wednesday against Liverpool. I dread to think what the score is going to be in that game. So, Spurs have got to sign a centre-back, even if it's just completely short-term for the end of the season. In terms of Ange, what can he do with the players he's got available? I thought in the second half we actually played quite well. Reguilon did quite well, a couple of decent crosses into the box or linked up well with Maddison and Son. I don't think Bergwijn should have come off for James Maddison, as much as Maddison was good. Got very unlucky with a couple of shots he had. I think Bergwijn was our best player up until he came on. There was quite a big boo when Bergwijn came off. Reminded me a little bit of when Nuno took off Lucas Moura for Steven Bergwijn. Not quite to the same scale, but it's probably the loudest boo we've ever heard at a substitution since then. And it just, it felt like we were huffing and puffing but couldn't quite blow the house down in that second half. A couple of good chances, but Newcastle defend so well. I think they're the fourth best defensive team in the league, and you could tell. He had half chances or headers in the box that were straight at Dubravka, but we didn't really have a clear-cut chance in that game. Shots from distance maybe that then rebounded and Johnson hit the post, or Maddison's shot that just went wide from the short corner. But other than that, Dubravka didn't really have a really difficult save to make in that second half. as much as Spurs pushed for it, and feels like we maybe could have got a point out of the game, if we're being honest. And if you look at the goal, should that have stood? Who knows? So I think Spurs are unlucky to not get a point in this game. But next league game, we've got Liverpool on Wednesday. Then we've got Tamworth in the FA Cup. Might finally win that one. And then Arsenal away in the league. So it just gets better and better, really, doesn't it? 11th in the table at the moment. Could end the day a lot further down the table. In terms of Ange, it looks awful. 30 points from a possible 81 is a joke, but with the issues he's had this season to cope with, injuries, now the illness we've had in the camp, suspensions at awkward times, I feel like he deserves a chance when everyone's back to see how he can end the season. But if results don't pick up when key members of the squad come back, then I think his days could be numbered at Spurs. But he deserves a bit more of a chance, because I can't remember the last time our manager had this many injuries in one position. It's just unbelievable what we've had to deal with this season. But, that's part of it. It's still not acceptable to have, I think, we haven't won at home since early November, which still is unacceptable with the teams we have been able to put out. So he is under big pressure. But, he's got to be backed by the board, got to get some signings in January. We'll see what happens come the end of the season. But thank you all for watching this match reaction. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, come on you Spurs!